Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we are going to be taking a look at, of course, Joy Reid and her meltdown because, let's just say, liberals have never had a period of grace. They've never had a period of grace since Trump ultimately won that presidential election over a month ago. And they have come out of their way to go and slam him, slam his picks, and really, the facts speak for himself. Donald Trump, majority of Americans approve of Donald Trump. He's at 49% of an approval rating. Really, the closest he's ever been to being above water. And when he goes above water, the liberals are just going to melt down more. And I'll just say he's probably not going to get more than just that. There's just deranged, deluded idiots in our country, like Joy Reid, that just foster themselves on this one man, Donald Trump. This one guy. He is the evil antagonist in her life. And Joy Reid, Joyless Greed, she is of course, the protagonist of her own life story. And it's just pathetic because really, we see this spoiled little girl who has an attitude, who basically goes up to people and judges them. Whether you are white, whether you are straight, a male. And it doesn't even matter about that. She judges you on your political beliefs. Joy Reid, she believes you should step away. Sever relations with people that you disagree with politically. I have family that are very Trump deranged, but I still love them, and they still love me. They know I love Trump, and they respect me. Joy Reid doesn't have anyone in her family that likes Trump. We know this because if she had, we would never hear the end. Joy Reid obviously didn't get to experience, because how can you sever relations with your family? Tim Walz did it. Tim Walz did it pretty easily. He said, "You guys voted for Trump in 2016? We're severing relations with my family in Omaha." But it's not about families that matter. It's about the Times magazine, which decided to make Donald Trump the person of the year. And let's just say the liberals, they aren't taking it so well. They are already having a hard time with this guy winning the presidential election. Now they are seething, and and Joy Reid is going to go through a series of delusions. She's going to go through a bunch of hoops and trying to convince us that Donald Trump is related to these 4 evil men in history that she's going to list, because he managed to get on the Times magazine. It happened to be so that Times, and I don't know how Times is not canceled by the left-wing lunacy, managed to do a magazine on each of these 4 men. These 4 men include Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Ayatollah Khomeini, I want to believe. And then there's Vladimir Putin. The Times magazine did a cheek clapping ceremony for these 2 men, for these 4 famous men in history. And there's a reason why the Times isn't canceled, and now I don't think the Times should be canceled. They are unbiased. They don't even like Trump. And that's the reason why they obviously aren't canceled yet. Because Joy Reid, along with unhinged liberals, like if I can go to the beginning of this video, there's going to be this deranged liberal woman who's going to break down in anger and seething because she's going to accuse, of course, Let's just see what she has to say before we get to Joy Reid.
It couldn't get any worse. You guys said, hold my beer. In a year where we had Taylor Swift, Kamala Harris, and Giselle Pichot, you chose the most repugnant, vile human being to ever walk the earth as your person of the year. At least half of America, and probably most of the world, is absolutely disgusted. I hope you go out of business.
That's the left. I mean, literally. I mean, it takes, they're so butthurt, and here's Donald Trump taking the reward.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually. But we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of turmoil caused unnecessarily. But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want to thank Time Magazine. I've been on the cover many times. I don't know as a record, but I can only probably talk well about 25% of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide. But it's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much. And
Well, Time Magazine, just when you thought the media
And you can see she's literally breaking down
couldn't
in
get any
tears.
worse, you guys said, hold my beer.
She sounds so repulsed. I mean, she doesn't seem to understand that Times Magazine is unbiased, and technically they are biased against Trump. They still chose him because he was the most mentioned guy of the year. I mean, this guy was indicted. He was convicted. He was shot at. He barely survived. And then he was elected president. Even though polls told us he wasn't. He made the biggest comeback in American history, and this lady's all butthurt because her gal didn't win. And she's calling him the most repugnant human being to ever walk the earth. What? So you're telling me Hitler, who killed millions of millions of millions of Jews, isn't the most repugnant human being? Stalin, the Ayatollah, and even Putin? You put these two evil men in front of him? This is how delusional. She is Trump deranged. We need to have her sit on a couch and take a breath. Sip some tea. Because I think this lady's just as bad as Joyless Greed. So we gotta take a look at Joyless Greed. It's not about you, lady, and I don't even know your name, and I do not want to know your name. You're really repulsive and immature, and you're crying, boo-hoo, whining and crying because your gal didn't win. Everyone, take Joy Reid, give Joy Reid, she's still boo-hoo, whining and crying, at least. She has her own platform. She doesn't know how to handle herself on TV, but she's doing a better job than her, who's getting all emotional. Come on, lady. You need some meds. But anyway, Joyless Greed, she's not going to take it so far. Joyless Greed could go and say, hey, you know what? Why did Trump get the picture of the year? She could, the Time Magazine, the award of the year. She could go and be constructive, but no, she wants to boo-hoo, whine, and cry racism. She wants to demonize Trump. And the reason why it's not working, well, because this is nothing new. This is Joy Greed for another 10 years. You've been doing this. I'm going to go ahead and say 10 years, because 2025, do you think she's really going to stop? Even if she does go out of business, then, I mean, she's going to have her own podcast, and she's going to get even worse. So yeah, 10 years, a decade, and no one, she's become so irrelevant. All she does is, she doesn't even spit facts. She just doesn't say nothing news. It's called the news, Joy Greed. It's the news. The news meaning news. Meaning what's in the news. Here's some news. Not the rants. Not the propaganda. And that's what we are seeing lately in our media. Less news, more talk, more rants, more anger, more emotion. And MSNBC is not a news station. It's a propaganda network that is basically a cult. They surround themselves in this anti-Trump cult. And if you can't do the anti-Trump dance correctly, like Ronna McDaniel tried to do, she gets thrown out. Ronna McDaniel, former GOP chairwoman, tried to join MSNBC, but she couldn't perform the anti-Trump dance correctly. So she said, no, we're not going to have you on. To be honest, the fact that Ronna McDaniel was stupid enough to even go on the propaganda network and trying to defend the GOP at the same time is just horrible. How can you do that? But anyway, we got to talk about the highlight of this video, and that's Joyless Greed.
And we all know which one Trump falls under. And let's remember who else has endorsement. We all know which one Trump falls under. Endorsement. And we all know which one is not much of a ringing worse. Is not much of a ringing award. Or for worse, is not much of a ringing endorsement. And we all know which one Trump falls under. And let's remember who else has been given this title in years past in the same category. Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Ayatollah Khomeini, and Vladimir Putin.
It's so interesting. Look. I believe this is the Times Magazine. This is literally Times Magazine. I want to believe this is... They went and, I don't know, this doesn't look like Adolf Hitler to me. They didn't edit this. I bet they're so deranged that they would. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, Hitler's an evil person. I'm just wondering what the design is. But, yeah, look at that. For relevant, I'm not going to say they're irrelevant because they have appeared in the faces of history. And really, Joyless Greed is really targeting the wrong person. She should be going after Time Magazine for writing about Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin. They should have... It's so irrelevant. Now they hate Time Magazine because they decided to do the second article about Trump. Wow. Even though you wrote 4 articles of 4 men who have murdered the most people. Well, I really, Mao Zedong should be on there. The 4 most evilest men in history. And we're all fine. We're fine. Everything's okay. Nothing's wrong. We cannot wait for the next Time Magazine award. And then it's Trump, who, by the way, hasn't killed anyone. People call him a fascist. Meanwhile, we're undermining these 4 critical men. 4 evil men. And the evil they possess. We undermine that. And meanwhile, and we try to come, and Joyless Greed is going around thinking, pointing this out like, look at Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Ayatollah Khomeini, and Vladimir Putin. They all have an award. So Taylor Swift got an award. Where's her? Is she a Stalin? Is she Stalin? Is she Hitler? I guarantee you they would never, ever say something like that. Barack Obama got the reward when he won the presidential election. I believe it was 2008. I don't see Barack Obama on here. Anyone see Barack Obama? There's a reason why Joyless Greed puts doesn't put them up. Joyless Greed does not want to compare Donald Trump to Barack Obama. That's the last thing she wants to do. Because in the Democrat Party, not so much anymore. What it used to be, everyone loved Obama until his deep state was exposed. Then not so much. Democrat Party still loves him, though. And the last thing Joyless Greed wants to do is compare Trump to someone that they admire, someone they love, like Taylor Swift. That doesn't work. So interesting stuff.
In fact, Stalin won the distinction twice, just like Trump.
So that must mean that Donald Trump must be Stalin. It's like she thinks this isn't a coincidence. I think it was a coincidence. Guess who else won the presidency twice? Grover Cleveland. Non-consecutively, if I should be more clear. Yep, non-consecutively. Grover Cleveland and Trump. And we all know Grover Cleveland, he was well-liked. He was a popular president. Well, he was popular back in the day until his second presidency. His second presidency was kind of boring. People faded away from him. But the Democratic Party strongly supported him still. But, yeah, people loved Grover Cleveland. He was the 19th century version of Trump. He did everything that Trump did. Not to mention he was from New York. If you got to compare someone, compare him to Grover Cleveland. He's a Democrat. Oh, that's so bad. Actually, Grover Cleveland, he's probably the best Democrat ever. He's probably the best Democrat president we've ever had. I rate Grover Cleveland as my third best president. My third favorite. My third favorite. And this is MSNBC. We're not surprised. They take 4 magazines out of hundreds. Well, I don't even know when Time magazine was created. I would say probably in the 1920s, ideally. And they do an article out of all the 90, 80 people. They choose 4 antagonists throughout history and say, look guys, Trump won the Time Magazine Award along with Stalin, Hitler, Khomeini, and Putin. Therefore, he must be associated with them, while keeping positive role models that the left loves, like Taylor Swift and Barack Obama, out of it. This is what MSNBC does. It is absolutely classic.
Regardless of the company he keeps, we know how important these magazine covers are to Trump. Just look at this tour he gave the Washington Post in 2015 of his Trump Tower office, with a wall adorned with his various cover appearances.
Now, if they wanted to make
there's Donnie. Okay, yeah, so bad, Joy. That's so horrible. And the average American's probably saying, okay, and get to the point. What's so bad about it? But there's the thing. Anything Trump does is a horrible thing. Even taking a tour of his rewards. Like, where he was on the Time magazine. That's so bad! Even though you go to, Robert Downey Jr. probably has tons of rewards with his name on it. And he does a tour. People wouldn't care. The left especially wouldn't care. Joy Reid wouldn't be going on an unhinged rant. But because he's Trump, it's Trump. And Trump is having this moment where he's glorifying himself. He's not even glorifying himself. He is proud of his achievements. He is showing out his manhood. He won those rewards like a man. These awards resemble hard work. Joy Reid has nothing to be proud about. What am I kidding? She's probably the most Trump deranged person on media, state-run television. she is getting millions and millions and millions of dollars, and she keeps creating these stupid collection videos like these. But then again, even all these so-called accomplishments and raising millions of dollars, she still boo-hoo whines and cries because she thinks she's less than everyone else because she is Jamaican and she's a woman in America, the most evilest country on the planet. And this woman expects us to go in droves to vote for Kamala Harris, even though we are hurting. We are hurting so much due to the Democrats. I don't care, she says. A person who isn't even hurting, by the way, because she's getting millions. She's not getting any more money anymore, and she's kind of regretting it. But she ain't know. She's so stupid. She doesn't even know why she's losing money. It's because of your stupid TDS. Joyless greed. You might be doing better than Joe Scarborough and Lisa Marcinski, I want to believe her name is. Or someone, I think that's not her name. But yeah. I don't think it's Lisa, but it's Joe Scarborough's wife. I'm blanking out on her name. It's a big foreign name. I think she's part Russian, but yes. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying with joyless greed. Donald Trump won those rewards like a man, and he won this reward like a man. He deserved this reward. He was shot at. He survived. He was convicted wrongfully. He had his businesses and his assets taken away from him. And then when he pays everything in full, the New York City government boo-hoo whines and cries and tries to stir it around. I'm telling you, if Attorney General Letitia James goes to jail, I am going to celebrate. And I hope she does. What she did was absolutely criminal. I know Trump needs to be wary about what he goes after. I mean, he can legally go after these people, but we need to be careful about establishing that narrative that Trump is going after his opponents. That can easily be taken out of context, right? Even though we make it clear Letitia James weaponized the government against the president. All it takes is to say, oh, Trump is prosecuting Letitia James because she's mad that he had him convicted. That's all it takes. So we need to be careful. And they can boo-hoo on and cry about it, but we got to be careful about what the general public. That's what we need to worry about. So, anyway, it's just classic from here. Nothing new from Joy Reid. She's boo-hoo whining and crying, and she's just so emotional. She just goes and randomly compares, and I think that's just it. The reason why people came out to Trump is the fact that you're comparing him to Hitler. You're comparing him to Stalin. You're comparing him to all these horrible people. And people back then, not too long ago, we were smart enough to never call someone Hitler. I was at therapy one day, and I actually was having this was back in the Trump presidency. I was straight out honest to my liberal therapists, and my liberal therapist, he's pretty liberal, I'll tell you, woke, in other words. And I told him, hey, I don't like how they're treating my president. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel angry. They keep calling him Hitler, and he was shocked. Like, that's not okay. Why would they say he's Hitler? And he wasn't putting it on an act. He's a very, very honest man, and he's straight out honest with me about most things. And he said, that's not right. Okay? And before Trump, everyone was in agreement. Calling people Hitler was not okay. But for Trump, it's okay. For some reason, it's okay to call Trump Hitler. For some weird reason. But yeah, I think majority of the people, though, still recognize it's not okay to call someone Hitler. And yeah, Joy Reid is not learning from this mistake whatsoever. She's continuously going to compare Trump to these evil men in history. That it's completely backfired on him. We know what she's trying to say when she's pointing out these four men who absolutely don't have a reason to be on her show. They're making an appearance. It's because she's trying to create the narrative that Trump is Hitler, and Trump is a fascist, Trump is an authoritarian dictator. This is what Joy Reid does all the time. I don't even watch Joy Reid. I watch the iconic moments like these where she goes insane, and she never, ever, I don't think ever, has she actually sat down and actually had a realistic statement saying, oh, it's because they don't want women for president. Oh, it's because racism and misogyny. Oh, it's because of misinformation and disinformation. No. And I'm telling you, Joy Reid knows why Kamala Harris lost. She's just so stuck up and stubborn not to admit it on air. And until she does, she's going to keep losing. And she is going to help push MSNBC down into the gutter. So what do you guys think in regards to our video? Congratulations to President-elect Donald J. Trump on his win, one of his many wins, his second time being on the Time magazine. Let me know what you guys think down below, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.